three of us that were all blind, and we were sitting after park run and just chatting. And Cheryl said, "Isn't being blind so isolating?" And Anne said, "Yes, because the people that had been sitting with us had gone off to, I don't know, get a cuppa or something. They were they were our aides basically on park run day."
Yeah.
And and there were people down the other end talking, and we couldn't join in because we knew who they were, but we couldn't see who was talking, so it would have been rude to interrupt.
Right.
You couldn't, yeah, it was just size, and we were sitting there saying, "Yep." So we started our own conversation,
Yes.
and it was all around the isolation of being blind,
Yeah.
which was funny because then I was talking to a very old friend, a couple of days later, and Gwen's losing her hearing. And Gwen said one of the biggest problems she's got is face masks now because she cannot see people's facial expressions.
Yes.
Oh my God, of course.
Mm.
Mm.
And there would, I imagine, that in somebody who's hearing impaired, their visual senses get stronger and they're more likely to be unconsciously lip reading as well as facial animation noticing.
Well, it could be too. And, Gwen's not letting it get to her. And one of the things when we were talking about all that, and like Anne and Cheryl and I, and Anne said to me a couple of days later, "We are so resilient." But then she said, "We were taught to be resilient as children.
Yes.
You fall down, you've got to get yourself back up.
Yeah. Yes.
You got a scratch, yeah, you'll be right. Just a scratch."
Your conversation about you and the women in the situation after the run.
Yeah.
And your comment about isolated and not being sure when you can come in and how to go about it.
Yeah.
Raises the question, or that raises the concept for me, that to be successful in what we're endeavouring to do with accessibility, accessibility is also to do with the resilience that you've mentioned, but I think the resilience comes from adaptability.
Yes.
So
I agree.
If when I'm with you, and particularly with you and Mark, who don't have the luxury that I have of sight, I often think to myself, what would I do if I were Mark or Narelle in that circumstance? And when you were talking about it, I went into what would I do if I was Narelle or one of those women in that phase. And you've got my brain thinking about 3 A's. There's an approachability, an accessibility, and adaptability. And you were asking that question and me dropping into what would I do if I were Narelle or one of the other women. I think I wouldn't have been looking for when I can come in. I'd be listening to the pauses and the breathing. And when I hear people pause and breathe, I'd go, may I just? And that's called a polite pattern interruption.
Yeah.
And I've interrupted the conversation, but may I just ask something here? Or may I check with you?
Yeah.
And pause at that point and give them a chance to invite you in.
And the interesting thing with that is that approach can be used in any meeting, any Zoom meeting. Yeah.
And Narelle, one of the things I'm constantly looking for are what are the behaviours, micro, tiny ones like that are useful for somebody who's in a disadvantaged circumstance that could be applied by anybody.